Bullies slap black girl. Not knowing she's a trained martial arts champion, the slap echoed across the cafeteria like a gunshot. Trays clattered, conversations died, phones whipped out. Everyone turned to see Chloe Simmons, blonde, confident, daughter of the local district judge, standing over Aaliyah Brooks, her hand still raised in the air. Aaliyah stood motionless, the red sting blossoming across her left cheek like fire on dark velvet. Her jaw tightened, but her eyes didn't even blink. "Oh, what? You gonna cry now?" Chloe sneered. Her posse, Haley, Bree, and Jenna, snickered beside her. "Or are you gonna do what your kind always does and call for backup?" Laughter erupted, some nervous, some cruel. Aaliyah's hands didn't move. She looked straight into Chloe's face, then lowered her eyes slowly to the tray on the ground. Her lunch, apple slices, turkey sandwich, and a bottle of water, was now swimming in ranch dressing and soda. She bent down quietly, picked up the bottle, capped it, and dropped it back into her bag. Then she turned and walked away. Whispers followed her out. Did she really just let that happen? Why didn't she fight back? She's so weak. But no one, not a single person in that room, knew that Aaliyah Brooks, the quiet junior who sat in the back of AP History and rarely raised her hand, was a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo, or that she had once broken 3 boards with a single spinning heel kick, or that she had trained since the age of Sim under one of the toughest martial arts instructors in the state, her father. No one knew because Aaliyah made sure they didn't. Not anymore. 2 hours earlier, Aaliyah had stood in front of her bathroom mirror, tying her braids into a tight bun. The scar under her left eye, faint but permanent, was from her first tournament. She had lost that day, bloodied and sobbing. Her mother had whispered, "Control is strength. Don't fight to prove you're right. Fight when there's no other choice." That phrase was carved in her. It's why she said nothing when Chloe and her crew took her assigned seat last week. Why she ignored the accidental spill on her hoodie yesterday. Why she bit her tongue when someone scrawled, "Go back to Africa" on her locker with a Sharpie this morning. But the slap? That was new. After school, Aaliyah sat on the back porch of their modest bungalow in South Bend, Indiana. Her dad, Malik Brooks, was repairing a wooden dummy, its limbs cracked from years of being struck. His hands, large and calloused, moved with precision. "Show me your knuckles," he said without looking. Aaliyah didn't respond. "Laya," he repeated, his voice low but firm. "Your hand." She held it out. It was trembling. He saw the mark on her cheek. "Was it today?" She nodded. "Was it Chloe again?" Another nod. He turned, his eyes narrowing. "You hit her back?" "No." His jaw relaxed slightly. "Why not?" "Because she wants me to." He paused, then gave a short nod of approval. "Smart. But walking away ain't the same as giving up. You know that, right?" "I know." He studied her. "You sure?" Aaliyah hesitated. "I don't know anymore." Malik sat beside her. "You think I trained you all these years just so you could beat people up?" "No." "Then what did I train you for?" "To have control." "To have options," he corrected. "Most people react. You decide." There was a long pause. "I wanted to hit her," Aaliyah whispered. "I wanted to break her jaw." Malik didn't flinch. "I thought about it," she continued. "The angles, her balance, how off-center her weight was. I could have dropped her in 2 moves." "Why didn't you?" "Because if I did, they'd call me violent. A threat. I'd be expelled. Or worse." Malik's lips pressed into a line. "You're not wrong," he said quietly. "But sometimes, baby girl, doing nothing isn't peace. It's permission." The next day, Aaliyah walked into school, her cheeks still swollen. Nobody spoke to her. Nobody apologized. But someone, maybe Jenna, maybe Haley, had printed screenshots of her in sparring gear, mid-air in a roundhouse kick from an old tournament. The caption read, "Black belt my ass. She froze." The pictures were taped to every locker in the hallway. Aaliyah pulled one down, stared at it. And for the first time in years, she smiled. In the gym that afternoon, Coach Ryder called her out during PE. "Brooks," he barked, holding a dodgeball. "You gonna join or just keep watching?" She stepped forward. The gym went silent. Coach tossed her the ball. Haley snorted. This should be fun. When the whistle blew, Aaliyah moved like wind. Her first throw knocked down Bry. Second took out Jenna. Third bounced off the wall and struck Haley in the back before she even turned around. Within 60 seconds, Chloe stood alone. Aaliyah held the final ball. The room held its breath. Aaliyah tossed it lightly to Chloe's feet. Didn't even aim. Then walked off the court without a word. That evening, Chloe slammed her bedroom door, red in the face. "She's playing games," she fumed. Jenna looked uneasy. "I don't know, Chloe. That was kind of scary today. She was like a machine." "She's bluffing. All that training, it's old. She's soft now." "Still," Bree muttered, "what if she's not?" Chloe's eyes gleamed. "Then we'll remind her who's in charge." A storm was coming, and this time Aaliyah Brooks wouldn't be the one walking away. The bruise on Aaliyah's cheek had turned a deep violet by morning. She dabbed at it with concealer, but the swelling pushed through like it had something to say. No matter how much she tried to cover it, it refused to be hidden, like the truth she'd kept buried for too long. At breakfast, her mom, Denise, noticed. She didn't ask what happened. Denise Brooks was a nurse at St. Francis Hospital and a woman who knew when to give space and when to press. This morning, she just poured coffee, slid a plate of eggs and toast across the table, and kissed the top of Aaliyah's head. "Whatever it is," she said softly, "you don't have to carry it alone." Aaliyah nodded, unsure if she wanted her mom to ask more or pray she wouldn't. At school, the tension followed her like a shadow. The hallway quieted when she passed. Kids watched from behind lockers and phones, whispering, speculating. Some seemed curious, others amused. No one came to her defense, not even Ms. Carter, the English teacher who once praised Aaliyah's essay on identity and justice. The posters with her tournament photo were still up, though someone had scribbled "fraud" across a few of them. Chloe walked by during second period with a smug look and a fresh manicure. "Cute blush," she said loud enough for the class to hear. "Matches your ego." Laughter trickled through the room. Aaliyah didn't flinch, but her knuckles tightened under the desk. She could take it. She always had. But she was starting to wonder if she should. That afternoon, Coach Ryder caught up with her by the lockers. "Brooks," he said, "you got a second?" She nodded. He led her into the weight room where the fluorescent lights flickered like they were tired of the drama too. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine." "You sure? 'Cause a few of the teachers are talking. They said something went down yesterday." "Something goes down every day at this school." He sighed. "You're not wrong." She waited. "You ever think about joining the self-defense team? We have a team. We're building one. I've seen you move. I've seen the videos. You're the real deal." Aaliyah tilted her head. "I'm not looking to show off. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking if you want to take back the space they stole from you." Her eyes flickered. "What do you mean?" "I mean the looks, the whispers, the way they act like you're some ghost floating through the hall. You could remind them who you are." Aaliyah didn't answer right away. Finally, she asked, "Can I think about it?" He nodded. "My door's open." Later that night, Aaliyah sat on her bed, scrolling through her old training footage. Saved videos on a dusty USB her dad had transferred from camcorder tapes years ago. There she was at 10, landing a perfect roundhouse in a local championship. At 12, flipping a boy twice her size during sparring drills. At 15, executing a kata so fluid it looked choreographed by water. She had forgotten what it felt like, to be that confident, that grounded. The memory wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It reminded her of the girl who used to look forward, not just survive. Her phone buzzed. It was a DM from an unknown account. Heard you were a joke. Guess those trophies were fake too. No name, no profile pic, just hate. She locked the phone, her fists clenched without her realizing. The next day, Coach Ryder announced a public demo for the self-defense team, Friday during the final period in the gym. Open to students and parents. Flyers went up. The buzz spread. Aaliyah's name was listed at the top in bold. Chloe saw it during lunch. She's actually doing it, Jenna muttered. Chloe rolled her eyes. She's making a fool of herself. Everyone knows she's a fraud. But what if she's not? Haley whispered. Chloe's smile returned, but it didn't reach her eyes. Then let's find out before Friday. That night, Aaliyah's window creaked open at 2 a.m. A thud landed on her desk. She jumped awake. It was her tournament certificate, burned on the edges. Someone had broken into her backyard, stolen it, set it on fire, and delivered the ashes. Taped to the corner was a note, "Quit, or we'll burn the rest." She stared at it, heart pounding, fingers trembling, but not from fear, from anger. She stood, walked to the garage, and pulled out the bag she hadn't touched in nearly a year. Her sparring uniform, still clean, still folded, waiting. The next morning, she dropped the burnt certificate on Principal Howard's desk. He raised an eyebrow. "Where did this come from?" "My room." "Do you have any idea who did this?" She stared at him. "I have ideas, but no proof. I can look into it. You won't find anything." There was silence. "I'm not here for protection," she said. "I'm here to tell you I'm still doing the demo on Friday. Ms. Brooks, if you feel unsafe, we can—" "I'm not unsafe, I'm just not invisible anymore." And with that, she left the office. Back straight, head high. Down the hallway, Chloe was watching and waiting, smiling like a storm was building behind her teeth. Because Friday wasn't just a demo now. It was a showdown, and only one of them knew how it would end. Friday came fast, too fast. The day everyone had been whispering about was finally here, and the halls at Lincoln High buzzed with anticipation. Flyers for the self-defense demo were everywhere, stuck on lockers, taped to water fountains, folded into notebooks. Some students came just to see Aaliyah fall flat. Others came because they secretly hoped she'd prove them all wrong. Aaliyah stood in the locker room alone, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her uniform fit like it always had, tight at the shoulders, snug around her waist, sleeves rolled just enough to let her hands move free. She tightened her belt slowly, methodically, like she was putting armor on piece by piece. Her eyes weren't afraid. They were focused. She closed her locker, took one deep breath, and stepped out. The gym was packed, bleachers full, phones out, laughter in pockets. Principal Howard sat up front with Coach Ryder. Chloe and her crew were in the center row, all smiles and sarcasm. Coach gave her a quick nod. "Ready?" She nodded once. He walked to the center of the mat, microphone in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first ever self-defense exhibition. Today we've got a few of Lincoln's finest students here to demonstrate not just physical skill, but mental discipline. The kind of discipline that protects, empowers, and inspires." He paused. "And leading today's demo, Aaliyah Brooks." A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Aaliyah stepped forward, every move calm, deliberate. A few whistles, a few boos. One loud voice yelled, "Let's see if she can actually fight this time." She didn't flinch. Coach gestured for her to begin. The first part of the demo was basic. Blocks, strikes, defense positions. She moved like liquid steel, controlled, precise, balanced. She wasn't flashy, just clean, methodical, but the crowd wasn't impressed yet. They wanted drama. Coach called out, "Partner drills." 3 students stepped forward, volunteers who'd been training with her all week. They simulated grabs, lunges, attacks. She countered with ease, a shoulder toss, a leg sweep, a palm strike that stopped a mock punch midair. Now the crowd was starting to shift. Phones up, cheers rising. But Chloe wasn't impressed. She leaned in toward Jenna and whispered, "This is child's play. Let's give them a real show." Before anyone could stop her, Chloe hopped down from the bleachers and walked straight onto the mat. Coach tried to step forward. "Chloe, this isn't—" "I just want to see if she can defend herself when it's not scripted," Chloe said sweetly. Gasps, phones everywhere. Aaliyah stared at her, calm, still. Coach turned to her. "You don't have to do this." But Aaliyah didn't back down. "It's fine." She stepped forward. They faced off, 2 feet apart. Chloe's voice dropped to a whisper only Aaliyah could hear. "You've been lucky so far, but luck runs out." The moment Coach gave the signal, Chloe lunged. It wasn't play acting. It was full speed, full force, rage disguised as challenge. Aaliyah shifted, sidestepped, redirected the momentum. Chloe stumbled forward, shocked. The crowd gasped. Chloe spun and came again, this time with a wide slap aimed for Aaliyah's jaw. But Aaliyah ducked, spun, and swept Chloe's legs out from under her. In a blur, she stopped just short of pressing her knee into Chloe's chest, holding a flat palm above her throat. A beat of silence. Then, chaos. Applause erupted. Screams. Someone yelled, "That was insane!" Chloe lay stunned, blinking up at the ceiling, breathing heavy. The smugness was gone, replaced by something she'd never had to face before, being outmatched. Publicly. Aaliyah stepped back, extended her hand. Chloe stared at it, didn't take it. Instead, she stood up, red-faced and shaky, and stormed off the mat. Coach grabbed the mic. "That, everyone, is what discipline looks like." The gym exploded again. But Aaliyah didn't smile. She just bowed, then turned and walked back to the locker room, heart pounding. Not from fear or excitement, but release. Finally, she felt seen. Finally, she felt free. Outside the gym, Chloe shoved through the crowd. Jenna followed. "What the hell was that?" "She cheated," Chloe snapped. "She knew what I was going to do. She planned it." "She didn't even touch you." "Exactly, it was a setup." Jenna hesitated. "Maybe. She's just better." Chloe spun on her. "Whose side are you on?" Jenna didn't answer, because deep down she knew the truth. And for the first time, she wasn't sure Chloe was the one worth following anymore. Back in the locker room, Aaliyah sat on the bench alone, until Coach walked in. He didn't say anything at first, just tossed her a cold bottle of water. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Better than I felt in a long time." "You shut them up today." She gave a faint smile. "Maybe for now." He sat beside her. "You don't have to fight every battle." She looked over. "But some battles need to be fought, out loud, in front of everybody." He nodded slowly. "Then I'd say you won this one." Aaliyah took a sip of water, eyes distant. "Yeah," she said quietly, "but something tells me it's not over yet." Monday morning was unusually quiet. The halls at Lincoln High, normally filled with noise and gossip, buzzed with an uncomfortable tension. People whispered, but this time, not about Aaliyah's defeat or Chloe's social status. This time, they whispered about what they'd seen in the gym on Friday. About a girl who fought with purpose, precision, and calm fury. Some were in awe, some were ashamed of their earlier laughter, and others were angry. Chloe sat in the back row of history class, her arms crossed, eyes hollow. Her phone vibrated endlessly with messages. Some of her usual followers had turned, sending memes about how she got folded like laundry. Others stayed loyal, feeding her ego with, "She got lucky," and "You should have kicked her harder." But nothing they said mattered. What stung the most was the look on people's faces when Aaliyah walked in. That slight nod of respect, that quiet shift in how people made room for her in the hall. It wasn't fear, it was recognition, and Chloe hated it. During lunch, Aaliyah was headed to the library when Principal Howard's voice echoed through the intercom. "Aaliyah Brooks, please report to the main office." Heads turned, some smirked, a few looked worried. Aaliyah frowned and adjusted her backpack. Her mind raced. Had she broken some rule during the demo? Was this about Chloe? She walked into the office to find not just the principal but Coach Ryder and a woman in a navy blazer she didn't recognize. "Miss Brooks," Principal Howard greeted, gesturing to the seat across from his desk. The woman stepped forward and offered a hand. "Detective Angela Hayes, school liaison with the city's youth task force." Aaliyah hesitated before shaking it. "Did I do something?" Detective Hayes smiled gently. "No, but your name came across my desk this weekend. A video of your performance at the school demo's gone viral. Nearly 400,000 views and counting." Aaliyah's heart dropped. "What?" Coach spoke next. "I posted a clip on the school account. It's just the takedown part. I blurred the other student's face, but I didn't expect it to blow up like this." Detective Hayes continued. "It's not a problem. In fact, it's impressive. We've had parents and self-defense organizations reaching out, asking if you'd be willing to help lead a city-sponsored youth seminar for girls. Specifically black and brown girls. We think you could be a real voice." Aaliyah blinked. She hadn't seen this coming. "Wait, you want me to teach?" "Not just teach," said Principal Howard. "Represent, inspire." The moment should have felt like a victory, but something about it didn't sit right. "Why now?" she asked slowly. "Why after I got hit in the hallway, after I got mocked in the cafeteria, after teachers watched it happen? Why is everyone interested now that it's trending online?" There was silence. Detective Hayes met her eyes evenly. "That's a fair question." Aaliyah stood. "I'm not here to be your viral girl of the week. I've been this person. You just didn't want to see it before." Principal Howard cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. "If you'd rather decline..." "I'll think about it," Aaliyah interrupted, "but not because you asked." She turned and walked out, and as she passed through the hallway, she saw Chloe watching her from across the lockers, her eyes unreadable. Later that day, Aaliyah sat on the back steps of the school building, where hardly anyone went anymore. Her sketchbook rested on her lap, though she hadn't touched it. The wind moved gently through the trees. Her thoughts were loud. She heard footsteps before she saw who it was. "Mind if I sit?" came a voice. It was Jenna. Aaliyah didn't answer, but she didn't say no either. Jenna sat anyway. "I know you probably hate me." Aaliyah looked over. "I don't waste energy on people I don't respect." Jenna flinched a little but nodded. "Fair. I was part of it. I laughed. I stayed quiet." Aaliyah raised an eyebrow. And? And I'm sorry. A beat passed. I think I stayed close to Chloe because it made me feel safe. Powerful even. But now, I don't know. Watching what you did, it made me realize I've never stood up for anything. Not even myself. Aaliyah finally looked at her. So what do you want? Forgiveness? No, just to say it out loud. They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Aaliyah spoke. Do better. Jenna nodded. I'm trying. Meanwhile, Chloe sat in her room, pacing. She stared at her wall, once filled with ribbons, trophies, framed photos from cheer competitions. But now her inbox was quiet, her texts mostly left on read. And worst of all, her father's voice boomed from downstairs. You embarrass the family, Chloe. You think colleges want to see their top applicants go viral for getting slammed at a school assembly. Her hands clenched into fists. This isn't over, she whispered to herself. She opened her laptop, searched Aaliyah's name, then clicked Send Message. Back at home, Aaliyah sat on her bedroom floor, stretching in silence. Her phone buzzed beside her. Unknown sender. Let's see how tough you really are. Outside school. 7 p.m. empty lot behind the rec center. Come alone. She stared at it for a long time, then stood, tied her hair back, cracked her knuckles. This wasn't about revenge. This was about finishing something that should have never started. The sun was setting over the city, casting a burnt orange glow over the rooftops as Aaliyah walked the cracked sidewalk behind the community rec center. The lot was mostly deserted, save for a few rusting shopping carts and piles of windblown trash. She paused near the chain-link fence and checked the time. 6:58 p.m. No one in sight. She slipped her phone into her hoodie pocket, her body tense but her mind calm. She had no clue what would happen next, but she was ready for anything. Footsteps, then voices. 3 girls stepped out of the shadows near the dumpsters. Chloe, of course, at the front. Behind her, 2 other girls from the cheer team, Megan and Lexi. Both had their phones out, already recording. Aaliyah sighed. So that's what this is? A setup for your TikTok? Chloe's mouth curled into a bitter smile. You humiliated me in front of the entire school. I don't care how good you are at karate or kung fu or whatever. People need to see that you're just another girl with an attitude. Aaliyah took one slow step forward. This doesn't end the way you think it does. Oh, we'll see. Without warning, Megan lunged. Aaliyah sidestepped, hooking her leg to sweep Megan off balance. Megan hit the pavement hard and rolled away, groaning. Lexi hesitated, then charged with a wild swing. Aaliyah ducked, caught Lexi's wrist mid-air, and twisted gently until the girl dropped her phone with a yelp. You should really stop trying to hit people when you've never trained a day in your life, Aaliyah muttered. That left Chloe. She didn't move. Just stood there, breathing heavily, her jaw clenched. I didn't come here to fight you, Aaliyah said, her voice quiet. I came because you clearly needed someone to show you what real strength looks like. Chloe finally stepped forward and slapped her, hard. Aaliyah's head turned slightly from the impact. She didn't flinch, didn't react. She just looked at Chloe like she was sad for her. Chloe's face was flushed with rage. Do something. Come on. Hit me back. Show everyone you're not the saint they think you are. But Aaliyah didn't move. Why would I? You want me to be the villain. I won't give you that. That's when a voice called out from behind the fence. Step away from her. Now. Flashlights. The sound of boots crunching gravel. Officer Michelle Traynor, the community liaison officer, pushed open the fence with 2 other patrol officers behind her. She looked livid. Chloe stepped back, stammering. This isn't what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like 3 students lured someone into an alley and tried to jump her on camera. Megan and Lexi scrambled to hide their phones. It was too late. Officer Trainer turned to Aaliyah. "You okay?" "I'm fine. I didn't throw a punch." The officer nodded. "I can see that." As Chloe and the others were pulled aside for questioning, Aaliyah watched silently, her heart heavy but not broken. This wasn't justice. It was damage control. But it was something. An hour later, after statements had been given and calls made to parents, Aaliyah sat in the back of her mom's car. The city lights blurred past her window as the car rolled down the avenue. Her mom gripped the steering wheel tightly. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want you to worry." "I'm your mother, Aaliyah. Worrying is part of the deal." They drove in silence for a few blocks before her mom added, "I'm proud of you." Aaliyah looked over. "I'm serious," her mom said. "You kept your cool. You held your ground. You didn't let them turn you into what they wanted." Aaliyah swallowed a lump in her throat. "It's not over. Chloe's not done." "No," her mom said, "but she's losing control. You're just getting started." The next morning at school, Chloe wasn't at her locker, wasn't in class. By lunch, a rumor spread like wildfire. Chloe had been suspended for 3 weeks for orchestrating the ambush. Megan and Lexi too. But, more surprising, a video surfaced. Not the blurry fight footage Megan tried to post. This one showed the entire altercation, from the fence, filmed by a local high school freshman who happened to be skating nearby. It captured Aaliyah standing her ground, deflecting every blow without retaliating. It caught her final words to Chloe, and it captured the police stepping in. The video went viral again. But this time, the comments were different. "Who is this girl? She's a role model. She handled that with so much grace. Damn. Give her a movie." By the end of the day, Aaliyah's inbox was flooded with interview requests, podcast invites, and even a DM from a producer at a national morning show. But that night, she didn't respond to any of them. She sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, laptop open, typing something new, a mission proposal for the girls' self-defense seminar she'd previously declined. This time, she was ready. And this time, she wouldn't just show them what she could do. She'd teach them how to do it, too. The school's auditorium was packed tighter than a Friday night basketball game. The buzz wasn't about sports this time. It was about Aaliyah Jackson. Her name had become synonymous with quiet strength. But no one expected her to show up for the annual student panel on bullying awareness. Not after everything. But there she was, standing on stage under the harsh fluorescent lights in a simple black sweater and jeans, her braids pulled back into a clean ponytail. She didn't need a spotlight. She brought her own presence. Aaliyah looked out over the crowd, students, teachers, parents, even reporters, and took a deep breath. "My name is Aaliyah Jackson," she began. "You might have seen the videos. But what you didn't see was the years leading up to it." The auditorium fell silent. "I didn't wake up one day and decide to learn martial arts. I started at 8 because I was scared. My dad had left. My mom worked nights. I was the only black girl in a mostly white school, and some kids made sure I never forgot that." In the front row, Principal Gates shifted uncomfortably. 2 local school board members whispered to each other. "I didn't fight back with my fists. I trained so I wouldn't have to. And when the day came, when I had every reason to strike, I didn't. Not because I was weak, but because I was in control." Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then rolling like thunder. But Aaliyah wasn't done. "I'm not here to be a symbol. I'm not your hero story. I'm a girl who got tired of shrinking herself so other people could feel tall. I didn't expose Chloe to ruin her. I exposed her because someone needed to say, enough. The crowd rose to their feet. Later, in the green room, Ms. Carver, the vice principal, stepped in. You sure about all this? We've got media requests pouring in. News crews want a follow-up. A few universities reached out. Even a talent agent called. You're becoming a brand. Aaliyah looked at her. I'm not a brand, I'm a person, and this isn't about becoming famous. What's it about, then? It's about not letting people like Chloe write the story anymore. There was a knock. Miss Carver opened the door, and in stepped someone unexpected. Officer Michelle Traynor, the same officer who had stepped in during the alley confrontation. Aaliyah, she said, can we talk? Aaliyah nodded. The two stepped outside into the corridor, their footsteps echoing on the tile. I just wanted to say I watched your speech. You're the real deal. Thank you. I also came with some news. Chloe's parents are suing the school district. Aaliyah blinked. What? They claim their daughter was unfairly targeted, that she's being portrayed as the villain in a media witch hunt. Aaliyah's jaw tensed. She orchestrated the whole thing. I know, and we've got evidence, but they're well connected. This might get messy. So what now? You have options. You could testify if it goes to court, or you could let the school handle it quietly. Aaliyah stared out the window at the school courtyard. No more quiet. I'll speak. That night, Aaliyah sat down at her desk and started a letter addressed to the school board. She laid it all out, not just Chloe's actions, but the silence of the system that let it happen. The teachers who looked away, the coach who ignored complaints, the administrator who told her to just blend in. She ended the letter with a question. What message do you send when a girl defends herself without violence and you punish her anyway? The next morning, the letter went viral. By afternoon, major news outlets were quoting it. By evening, something even more shocking happened. Chloe's father, real estate developer Greg Whitman, was caught on tape at a private fundraiser mocking Aaliyah and the school's woke circus. The footage leaked. Public backlash exploded. His firm lost 3 corporate clients overnight. Meanwhile, the school board held an emergency meeting. Aaliyah was invited to speak. She walked in wearing a navy blazer over her usual jeans, composed, unapologetic. I don't want revenge, she said calmly. I want reform. And I want it before another girl like me is forced to fight for her dignity alone. Silence, then nods, then a vote, unanimous. The board announced new measures on bullying and racial harassment, mandatory cultural sensitivity training for staff, and funding for a district-wide martial arts self-defense program, named in honor of Aaliyah Jackson. When she stepped outside the meeting, a crowd of students and parents were waiting. Someone held up a handmade sign. Strength isn't silence. Aaliyah smiled, her heart pounding. Not from fear, from purpose. It wasn't over. There were still stories being written about her, still critics, still whispers in corners. But now she had a voice, and she wasn't done using it. Chapter 7. Aaliyah sat at her kitchen table, elbows on the worn wood, her fingers running over the grain. A half-eaten sandwich sat on the plate in front of her, untouched. Across from her, her mother, Vanessa Jackson, flipped through a pile of papers, eyes skimming fast. They're calling it a countersuit, Vanessa said. Chloe's family is going after the school, yes, but now they're trying to drag you in directly. Defamation, emotional distress, the works. Aaliyah didn't flinch. Let them. Vanessa looked up. This isn't just noise anymore, it's legal. They hired lawyers with reputations, big reputations. They'll spin everything if they can, make it seem like you attacked their daughter's future. She went after mine first. Vanessa softened, her hand reaching across the table. I know that. But the world doesn't always side with the truth, especially not when that truth is coming from a black teenage girl who fought back. Aaliyah closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. Steady. Then I'll make sure they see more than just a headline. Later that evening, she met with Ms. Carver and Principal Gates in the district office. The air in the room felt thick, tense. Gates cleared his throat. We're considering settling. Quietly. No admission of wrongdoing. We just want this over with. No, Aaliyah said. Absolutely not. Aaliyah, I understand how you feel, but— No, you don't, she interrupted. You don't understand what it's like to walk into this school every day, knowing the system is built to protect people like Chloe. Not me. And now that the world's watching, you want to tuck it all away behind a non-disclosure agreement? Miss Carver didn't say a word, but her silence spoke volumes. I'm going to court if I have to, Aaliyah said firmly, and I'm going to speak. That night, she posted a video. No music, no edits, just her face, honest, raw. My name is Aaliyah Jackson, she said, and I refuse to apologize for defending myself. The video exploded overnight. By morning, news trucks were parked outside her house. By noon, her story had been picked up by national networks. By evening, something even more unexpected happened. Chloe's cousin, Madison Whitman, a freshman at a neighboring high school, posted her own video. I was at that party, Madison said, her voice shaking. I saw what Chloe did. She thought it was funny. She planned it. And Aaliyah didn't attack her. She just stood her ground. The internet lit up. Hashtags started trending. A stand with Aaliyah have silence is not strength. Justice. For Jackson, Chloe's legal team scrambled to respond. They issued a statement denying Madison's claims and called her an emotionally confused minor. But the damage had been done. Public opinion had turned. And just as things seemed to hit a boiling point, another twist dropped. A former teacher at Hillside Academy, Mr. Dwyer, came forward with emails, dated months before the incident, detailing formal complaints about Chloe's bullying, filed by multiple students. The school had buried them. Principal Gates and several faculty members were placed on administrative leave pending investigation. At school, Aaliyah walked through the halls, no longer invisible, but now unavoidable. Some students avoided eye contact. Others nodded. A few even whispered apologies in passing. Then came the school board hearing. Aaliyah stood at the microphone in the packed community hall. News cameras lined the back wall. Her heart thundered, but her voice didn't waver. For years, students like Chloe were protected while students like me were silenced. We were told to stay calm, stay quiet, stay small. She glanced at the panel of board members. Well, I'm done being small, she turned to the audience. I didn't speak out because I wanted attention. I spoke out because someone had to, and now that you've heard me, you don't get to pretend you didn't. The room erupted in applause. Standing ovation, parents with tears in their eyes, students with fists in the air. Backstage, Miss Carver met her with a hug. You didn't just hold your ground, Aaliyah. You changed the game. Aaliyah smiled, but it was tired. Let's just hope they remember that after the cameras stop rolling. That night, as the family sat down to dinner for the first time in what felt like weeks, without tension clawing at the edges, Aaliyah's phone buzzed, a message from Master Elena, her longtime martial arts instructor. Proud of you, little fire. Next fight's not in the ring, but it's still a fight. Aaliyah grinned. She texted back, "Good thing I'm trained for this." The courtroom buzzed with a quiet intensity, cameras flashing outside like lightning behind tinted windows. Inside, it was calmer, but the air crackled. Aaliyah sat at the witness table, flanked by her attorney and her mother, Vanessa. She wore a dark navy suit jacket, tailored, neat, and her long braids were tied back in a single clean braid that fell over her shoulder. Her expression was calm, unshaken. Across the aisle, Chloe Matthews sat beside her parents and a row of high-powered attorneys. Their expressions were rehearsed, sympathetic, professional, innocent. But underneath the polished facade, you could see it. Anxiety. The kind that comes from watching public opinion shift hard and fast. The judge, a stern-faced black woman in her early 60s named Judge Marla Pierce, entered and called the room to order. She had read every deposition, every complaint, and every counterclaim filed since the incident. Her gavel struck, and the final proceedings began. The opposing counsel rose first, a well-dressed man with a voice like a velvet dagger. "Your Honor," he said smoothly, "this case is not about race. It is not about privilege. It is about a violent reaction from a student that could have ended in real injury. We cannot let our emotions cloud that fact." Then it was Aaliyah's turn. She stood slowly, walked to the stand. When she spoke, her voice rang out steady and clear. "My name is Aaliyah Jackson. I'm 17 years old. I've trained in martial arts since I was 5. But what happened that day wasn't about violence. It was about survival." She looked over at Chloe, who flinched slightly under the gaze. "Chloe didn't just slap me. She mocked me, harassed me, humiliated me in front of the whole school. And when I finally stood up for myself, people didn't ask why it happened. They asked how I dared to respond." The judge leaned forward slightly. "And did you intend to hurt her?" "No," Aaliyah answered. "I intended to stop her." Gasps stirred among the audience. Some reporters shifted in their seats, pens scribbling furiously. "People keep asking why I didn't walk away," Aaliyah continued, "why I didn't let it slide. But if I did that, I'd be telling every girl who looks like me that they should stay quiet, that they should take it. I refuse to send that message." The courtroom was utterly silent. Then a slow clap broke the stillness. It came from the back. Everyone turned. A tall woman stepped forward, gray curls haloing her face. Master Elena, Aaliyah's martial arts instructor, in uniform. She nodded once at Aaliyah, then took her seat quietly. It was silent again, but different now, charged, empowered. The judge sat back, folded her hands, and took a breath. "The court finds in favor of Miss Jackson," Chloe's mother gasped. Her father swore under his breath. Chloe's lawyer dropped his pen, but the most dramatic reaction came from Chloe herself, who stood up, trembling with disbelief, and stammered, "But she attacked me. You can't let her—" Judge Pierce cut her off. "Sit down, Ms. Matthews. What happened to you was the consequence of years of unchecked entitlement. This court does not protect bullies." And with that, the gavel fell. Outside, the media swarm erupted. Aaliyah and her mother stepped through the courthouse doors into a flood of lights and microphones. She didn't say anything at first, just took a breath. Then, turning to the cameras, she spoke. "I didn't win today because I'm a fighter. I won because I told the truth, and because people listened." "Would you do it again?" one reporter asked. Aaliyah smiled softly. "In a heartbeat." Reporters kept yelling questions, but her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text, unknown number. "You don't know me, but my daughter watches everything you do, and today you showed her what strength really looks like. Thank you." She paused, took it in. Later that night, at home, the living room was quiet. Her little brother fell asleep curled next to her on the couch, still wearing his Team Aaliyah shirt. Vanessa brought over 2 mugs of cocoa. "You did something big today," her mom said, settling beside her. "I didn't plan to," Aaliyah replied. "I just couldn't take it anymore." "That's what makes it brave." They sat in silence a moment. On the coffee table, her phone lit up again. More messages, more gratitude, more people saying they'd felt what she'd gone through, that they'd finally seen someone stand up the way they wished they could. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was bigger than a slap, bigger than a school. It was a story, a spark, the beginning of a new kind of conversation. She posted one last video that night, just her, on her front porch, stars blinking above her. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever been told to stay small or stay silent, don't. Speak up, speak out. And if you want more stories like this, if you believe voices like mine matter, then share this. Subscribe, support this channel, because we're not done yet, she paused, then added softer. And I'm just getting started.